Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back from the ad break. You are still watching Prime Life. Now, my next guest is Cyril Turton, who is the founding member of Readers Are Leaders, and he's joining us this evening. And he is part of a very passionate organization dedicated to transforming lives through literacy. As a community leader who's committed to making a difference in the lives of children, Cyril will share with us the mission of Readers Are Leaders, the inspiring story behind its creation, and also the hands-on approach used to engage kids and help them thrive. Thank you so much for joining us, Cyril, and welcome to Prime Life.
Thank you for inviting me, and hello to you and to your listeners. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, can you please tell us about what Readers Are Leaders actually does?
Well, Readers Are Leaders started about 11 years ago. We're a community-based organization that functions primarily on volunteerism, and we assist young learners in grade 2s and 3s to improve their reading, and others to learn to read from scratch. As we do know, reading and reading with understanding is very low in our country, and this is exactly the place where we have to start at the primary school level, and this is what we do in the various schools that we work in. There's a whole host of other things. Can I go ahead and mention that?
Yes, please. Please mention.
Yes, well, we train our volunteers and then guide them into the process, and when they feel confident enough, they will then have their learners on a one-on-one basis, and we ask them to give us 2 hours twice a week. In addition to that, we discovered that many of the schools didn't have libraries, and some of the libraries we started from scratch. Others we helped stock up with books, and to date, I think it's a total of 7 libraries that we managed to assist. Then, of course, there were children who said, but I can read. What about me? We started a library every second day at Dowling Primary School. And for the past 5 years, we also implemented the Pendulani literacy quiz that takes in 10 schools from Homestead Park to Riverlea, Bosmont, New Clare, Western, Westbury. And we bring them together in the first Saturday of September of this year, and we put their reading skills against one another. It's all with the purpose of spreading a culture of reading in these communities that we are working with. That's it.
That is beautiful. I mean, all the services that you offer are very inspiring. And speaking of inspiration, can you take us back to when Readers Are Leaders actually started? What inspired this?
Well, to be honest with you, I was always passionate about reading. I used to volunteer for an organization in Braamfontein, and I thought to myself, look, I've just lost my job. Let me go and read to some kids until I can find another job. That was 10 years ago. And it's the passion for reading. I think ultimately also the passion to do something positive in the communities that I came from. And we went started with one school, and in no time we spread to other schools and the various types of things that we're doing. By the way, we have writing competitions as well. And we go out and collect that picture there. We go out and collect gently used, previously owned books suitable for primary school children. And we give this to the various school libraries that we are involved with. Yes.
That is so inspiring. And just hearing about how you speak about this organization, I can hear the passion definitely for what you do. But please walk us through a typical session at Readers and Leaders. How does it all start?
A typical, repeat that.
Session, a typical session.
I think, okay, thanks for that question. I think we are grounded in a couple of very simple approaches that does not take in a typical classroom at any stage. Our mantra, our vision, our mission, what drives us is kindness, patience, tolerance, motivation. We lift children up. We also take in a lot of learner talking time. And we say to people, if you're confused about what you are doing, go back to your patience, go back to your tolerance, go back to your kindness. So many times you find that children come from communities that massive unemployment, social and economic conditions isn't what it should be. Children are sort of disturbed when they come to school. So we first settle them down like that before we take the book, and that volunteer has gone through the process where we use a phonics-based approach. We've got special books for them, and they slowly take Johnny, Jane, or Farida, and we sit down for the 30 minutes, and we say, this is how we are going to start with you. That is when that learner feels comfortable that a place that she is in is a safe space to speak to this adult. And once she feels that way and be able to speak to that adult, now we can take our book, especially in special books, a phonics-based approach, the THRAS books. We've also got books that start you really from the rock bottom, called the Link program. And that is how a volunteer starts offering this reading and these skills to the learner. And we slowly but surely bring them up and increase the capacity of, or not a capacity, the difficulty of the books. I see you got my book there, Cyril Learns to Read. I'd like to take an opportunity just to explain to you how that book came about. A young grade 2 child told me in school, Uncle Cyril, you were telling us to write, just write anything, put your pen down and write. But can you write? She told me, sort of very confidently. I went away, then thought about it, and I started just putting pen to paper. And I came up with Cyril Learns to Read. And I went back to her, I said, come, I'm a child. If I am this old and I can write a book, can you imagine what you can do? So you better start now. And I use that as a motivational tool when I do speak to children at an assembly school level with them. So a typical day is very simple, an approach where every uncle and auntie feel that they can come in and turn a child's reading life around, turn a child's educational trajectory around for the better. We've taken the so-called academics out of it, and we said, yes, you can help Johnny, Jane, or Farida. That's what our typical day would be like.
That is so.
And that, yeah.
You may continue. You may continue. I was going.
Yeah, I said now that yes, that happens through all our schools that we are at. And for the 2 hours that you are there for the day, you take every child for 30 minutes. Then if you finish your 30 minutes, you take your next child. And so forth. Just yesterday, we completed a course at Lego. So a child comes and his child seems to be not his or herself. Come, young man, come, young girl. Let's see, go and play some Lego. See if you can build a farmyard for me. And when you finish this, tell me about what you built. So we encourage speaking skills. You encourage a bit of confidence. Oh, if you don't want to play with the Lego, let's see how quick you can do a puzzle. And those are the things we're involved in. And we have once every 6 weeks, general volunteers get together. We speak about our work and we share ideas, because we believe that every adult comes with skills that he or she used in her family, on her children. There's a very nice Afrikaans saying, and I'll say it in Afrikaans, praat hulle slim. So talk them clever. You use words with them all the time. And every word that comes from is meaningful sort of interaction. And I believe every child's got a filing cabinet in their heads that eventually one day the curtain lifts and they'll take out all the things that we have taught them along the way for all the time it took maybe to help Johnny or Jane to learn to read. And they will make use of it in their classrooms and in their lives as they're going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I mean, the way you've explained a typical day, or what it looks like, for you to be involved in these activities, I think it also sounds very fun for the children. I was actually going to ask you, in what ways do you make sure that these sessions are actually fun? But the fact that you mentioned puzzles and, building Legos, I think that's a very, very fun, interactive way to get children to read and write. Let's talk about, the challenges that kids usually face when learning how to read and write.
I think our homes today is what I would call print dry. In other words, when I grew up, no matter what the economic conditions were at home, there was a newspaper at home, there was a pen and pencil at home. We don't find that anymore. The only writing material is what in your child's grade 2 or 3 book in his or her case. So there's nothing like that. And the big thing we face is social economic challenges that families face. that impacts on children, right? And the major thing there is unemployment. If I could just mention the most important one, and this impacts on the children. And when the children come to school, they don't come ready to learn. And we then have to settle them down in our 30 minutes. And I suppose it happens in a classroom, but as you do know, classrooms are packed to capacity, and the teachers have their challenges also. And these are the challenges we face. But one of the challenges that I must share with you is a challenge of volunteers. Uh, I'm always in need of volunteers just in the schools that I work. And I believe that hopefully parents would come forward. And this is the one of my legacies I want to leave behind. I want it to be printed in the hearts and minds of adults in this community that you, no matter who you are, you can play a positive role, no matter who mommy and daddy is. And I'm often told, yes, but parents themselves can't read. So I said that's just a cop-out comment, because each and every adult should know how to motivate a child, to motivate a person to say, yes, you can do it. Come, let us start off with one word at a time. So those are the challenges that I face: social economic conditions, volunteers. If we
Thank,
get volunteers, our reading team takes over the rest.
thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that with us. Can you please, talk about the importance of creating a nurturing, supportive environment for children to learn and thrive?
I think to establish a nurturing environment is the foundation stones of a child's reading future, a child's reading trajectory. Because if a child feels uncomfortable or threatened, no, even as an adult, if you have somebody scream and shout at you, you shut down. So once you establish what I like to call a safe space, and that's not a physical space, it's a relationship space, a safe space where the child is comfortable and speaking with you, that you in your reading room have established that, you will then be able to take that a step further with the reading process. And I also tell mom and dad, the days where you come and say, take a book and go and read is over, or you have to create the environment where your child feels comfortable and safe to read to you, mistakes and all. And the reason why the child has to pick up that book, because the child can't read, you need to read to the child so that they can hear the words, they can internalize the words, and when they come across it again, they will be able to repeat it. And mommy or daddy must be able to say that every day. And I like to use 15 minutes a day. You read to your child. So you create a bit of knowledge in the child's head before you say, come, let me see if you can remember what daddy has taught you with your finger. And reading skills is a repetition skill. You've got to do it regularly. So that's what I would use as a motivational thing, or setting the groundwork for children to feel safe in in their reading environment. Create a safe space.
And lastly, just looking at the future of Readers Are Leaders, what impact do you hope it will leave onto the community? And most importantly, what legacy do you hope it leaves in the community also?
I think Readers Are Leaders has had its successes already. That is why we've had a principal at Nuclear Primary School that retired 2 weeks ago, and we said goodbye to him at the assembly. We presented him with a plaque. And these are the words he used that told me, that motivated me again once more. He said, Readers Are Leaders must never leave our school. We'll be needing him for a long time. So our successes is there. This next year, some of the children are in grade 12, and some of them I will be assisting in getting them to university. When I say me, I should say us, because we don't lose them along the way. Even although we don't take grades 4, 5, 6s, and 7s, we're still involved in their school life. They see us every day. We have competitions where they are part of, and through that way, I believe that is the legacy that the Readers Are Leaders will be leaving in the schools. What was the second part of your question?
The legacy, what legacy do you hope it will leave?
I think the legacy, as I said earlier on, that it will find its way into the hearts and minds of our communities. to say that each and every person here can play a role in the educational life of a child. Education is power, and that mental confidence that I can help my child, that is what I want to leave as my legacy in the hearts and minds of the community that we are involved in.
Mm. And just also before, I know I said that was the last question, but I just remembered something as you were speaking. Can you tell us about exactly where it operates, and if there's someone that wants to join in, bring their kids, how does it actually work?
Well, we operate on a school level, so we will teach the youngsters at that school, right? So we in Westbury, Dowling Avenue Primary School, Nuclear, Bosmont Everest, and we touch base with schools from Rivoli Extension, Bree Primary, and we come all this way from there to the Nuclear Westbury area where my base is. And if anybody wants to join, they need to contact me or set up something similar in their schools. I will be able to assist them, bearing in mind that we're non-profit, we don't come with a bag full of money. So if you are within reach, easy reach of us, I think we can then establish a relationship with a group of people who would like to set up something similar in their schools that they are, have their children at. So therefore, their children will then be able to be supported by their own group of volunteers with a relationship with Readers Are Leaders. We unfortunately can't say to you, bring your child to Dowling Street when your child is actually in school, in his or her school. Because remember, we work during school hours.
Okay, and
Yeah.
just also lastly, when somebody who might be watching right now who wants to maybe donate books, show support to the organization, how can they do that?
Yeah, firstly, I'd like to say those sort of things are very welcome. I've got my cell number. I think it's on the advert that you had there. They can phone, leave a message. I will return the call back, or I can give you my email address now. Can I give it to you?
Yes, you can say it on air.
It's leadreaders@gmail.com. leadreaders@gmail.com.
I mean, Mr. Cyril, thank you so much for joining us and just for sharing insight on the great inspirational work that you're doing for the kids, also just for community at large. And it was so inspiring just to hear about the impact you'd like to see and the legacy that you intend to leave behind. So thank you so much for joining us on Prime Live.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and please enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, you too. Viewers at
Thank you.
home, that was Mr. Cyril Turton, who is the founding member of Readers Are Leaders. And this was such an inspirational talk that I just had with him regarding the importance of literacy amongst kids and children. And I just loved how he makes it into, or the organization makes it into such an experience, and the impact that they're actually having on the community. But without wasting any time, let's go to a break. We'll see you right after this.
Thank you.